Now, the presidency has slammed the DA, saying it's seeking to sensationalize the issue in view of the U.S.'s pending trade tariff announcement by U.S. President Donald Trump. It says Jonas's outreach does not in any way supersede the leading role of the trade, industry and competition and DIRCO in the difficult but constructive trade negotiations with the U.S. It adds that the DA has positioned itself as part of a right-wing nexus that wants to use a foreign state to effect changes to democratically develop national policies in South Africa. The presidency further says the party is trying to exploit a critical engagement between South Africa and the US to protest President Ramaphosa's removal of Andrew Whitfield as Trade Deputy Minister. Now, for more on this, let's chat to SABC News International editor Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, quite a scathing press release that came out of the presidency. They don't normally put out such hard-hitting ones. What did you make of it?
I think it speaks to the state in which the relationship, particularly between the ANC and the DEA in the government of national unity, is at. We know that since the firing of the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry from the DA by the President, the tension has escalated. But the issue here is the timing for the DA to communicate this. We all know that Mcebisi Jonas didn't go to the White House. We didn't see him with the delegation when the president met with President Trump, with the delegation that accompanied the president, because he didn't have a visa. He couldn't travel to the U.S. He ended up in Qatar. And also we know that there has been an announcement that he is not only looking at the U.S.-South Africa relations, he is also looking at other regions and other countries and other partners. And therefore the work continues on the other who are perhaps prepared to host him. Secondly, he is not an ambassador, and therefore he's not a diplomat, but he's assigned to communicate, and he does communicate with officials. It's not a question of a must to meet the head of state, because the counterpart of President Trump is President Ramaphosa. The second highest will be your vice president in the U.S. Vance and the deputy president Paul Mashatile. And of course, the Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola, and his counterpart, that is the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. So you still have that hierarchy. Lastly, when you look at South Africa as we speak, we know that at the American embassy, there is no ambassador of the U.S. But South Africa is continuing to engage with the U.S. here as it relates to issues of tariffs. That is why the Trade and Industry Minister didn't even travel to Brazil. It was the Deputy Minister, and he spoke to SABC explaining that they are continuing to engage with the Americans here at the Consul General and at the embassy, because you have the second in charge, who is very, very senior. That is the Charge d'Affaires, David Green, who is at a very, very senior level. The same with South Africa. Yes, there's no ambassador, but you have a senior person at the embassy in Washington. And that senior person is the very same person who was preparing also logistics and everything for the South African delegation when they were going to Washington. And therefore, Mcebisi Jonas cannot stop South Africa from engaging with the United States of America. And this is what's happening behind the scenes. That's why there are reports that there's on the table now a discussion document between South Africa and the U.S., and they are consulting even the embassy for guidance in terms of resetting the relations as it relates to trade relations. And the tariffs that's likely to be imposed on the 1st of August, it's not South Africa only. Even the very close allies of the United States of America, like Canada, like European countries, including those who are not in the north, who are in the south, Brazil, India, including China and Russia. Trump has announced that he is going to impose sanctions, he's going to impose tariffs on many countries on the 1st of August if they don't agree. There's indication there will be an agreement. And therefore, South Africa is not the only country as it relates to the issue of the tariffs, because for Trump, it's not about South Africa. It's about the dominance of America, and also what's in for America, because he has promised the Americans America first. He wants to build the manufacturing in America, and therefore it's not South Africa that's been targeted. Many countries are affected.
Absolutely, but I think in question, and perhaps maybe we can wrap on this note, is the whole issue around the appointment of Mcebisi Jonas. I mean, 90 days ago, that's what the DA are saying. Where is he? Why is he not there? Is there a problem? They're flagging this as a problem, but they're also bringing into question his role as the chairperson of MTN. And MTN at the moment, and we know this, are embroiled in very serious legal action in the US courts under the Anti-Terrorism Act. That's what's going on. So alleging that the group violated anti-terrorism laws by supporting militant groups in Afghanistan, including the Taliban. I mean, those are some of the allegations hanging over them, and he is the chairman of the board there. So, you know, perhaps do you suspect there are issues that we're not being told about?
I don't think this thing is in a public domain. When Mcebisi Jonas was appointed, these issues came up. And clearly, many people discussed this, including the media. And there was an indication that there might be red flags. And therefore, this is not new. That is why I'm saying, even him not being able to go to the U.S., it's not new. He couldn't go with the delegation when they went to meet President Trump. And therefore, these issues are not new. But secondly, as I pointed out, then we are also aware of the fact that his responsibilities are not only confined as it relates to the U.S. We were told he will also continue with other regions and other countries as South Africa tries to strengthen trade relations with other partners, because this U.S. relationship is on a very, very shaky ground. Yeah. It needs a restart in terms of how you communicate so that the Americans are happy. And these issues of terrorism, mainly, which the two countries are discussing right now. And therefore, the issue of Mcebisi Jonas and him being an MTN official, it's not new, including his utterances when he was delivering a Nelson Mandela lecture in the Eastern Cape, how he expresses views as they relate to President Trump. These are not new. These are in the public domain. The issue is, that's why I'm saying the issue of Mcebisi not going to U.S., it didn't start today. Yeah. Many know that he couldn't go at that time, including the DA. Why now, maybe?
All right. Well, why now? Perhaps it's got something to do with Andrew Whitfield, but we'll leave it at that, and we'll see how things transpire after this. SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena talking to us about that story.